If you look at the small minority who's the loudest group, like you just said, they're not just anti-Israel, they're also anti-American values, which questions me. And it's so not, I've been painted as a racist for saying it, but then if you hate America so much and you hate coexistence, then why are you here in the one country that's a safe haven for coexistence? Why are you bringing your nasty radicalization to this country that doesn't believe in it? There are many countries who are radicalized. And if that's what you believe in, then go to those countries. But you're here ripping down American flags, setting Israel flags on fire, and advocating for, globalize the intifada. So basically calling for terrorism, and it's being accepted. Like, I live in New York. These protests are being so tolerated, screaming outside of Sloan Kettering Cancer Hospital at cancer patients because the owner accepted money from a Zionist. It's all being tolerated. So of course they'll go as far as they can. And why not? They're not facing any consequences for it.
All right, Emily, I don't do intros when I do sit-downs now. I sit across from someone and I ask them to tell the world about themselves. So for 1 minute, who is Emily Austin and how did she end up here?
That's such a complicated question, but to answer the world...
I'll give you 2 minutes.
Speak in third person. Emily Austin, no, I'm not. I am kind of all over the place, but wearing multiple hats deliberately, in which I started my career in sports journalism, which then naturally opened the doors into entertainment journalism, which was really fun. During COVID is really when I took off because Instagram was super saturated. I kind of saw an opportunity and jumped on it of doing an Instagram live series in which I featured some NBA players that I met through these sports internships. And it blew up. We got so many views. So that led me to have a platform. And now I'm like, great, what do I do with this? And although I love the sports, I found just like a natural interest in, I don't want to call it politics because I really look at it as common sense. And I don't see myself as a political person, but I see myself speaking my truth. And apparently it pisses a lot of people off, but it's worked out in a career way for me because now pretty much most of my time is spent either, talking about Israel, condemning terrorism, which you'd think everyone would at this point, but you're wrong. And still love the sports. Yeah, I'm old school. I don't like Hamas. I think that they're bad people. How crazy am I? But I still do the sports. And I feel like not enough people realize that you're only forced in the box if you let yourself be forced there. Like everyone said, you can't do sports and politics. You can't do human rights and sports. And I tell them all, you're wrong. And I'm doing it now. And it's working. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and see where it takes me.
And see where it goes. Well, so the thing that obviously put you on my map was the Israel stuff and that shirt. And I see you've got a dog tag there, which I'm curious to hear about. So October 7th happens. And then were you already talking about Israel? Were you doing advocacy there? Or like, how did it just feel very natural that that was going to be the thing?
Yeah, it felt very natural to me because prior to October 7th, the famous line of it starts with the Jews, but it doesn't end with the Jews. It starts with Israel. It doesn't end with Israel. Even before the attack on October 7th, I was saying that in a lesser important level, meaning I was focused more on combating anti-Semitism, which was always prevalent on college campuses and always prevalent in society, especially nowadays with the rise of social media and just people denying the Holocaust. That's something I was very passionate about, at least showing on social, speaking engagements and such. So when I tell people, and I don't mean it in a desensitized way, that October 7th wasn't a surprise, more so meaning the reaction to it doesn't surprise me because I've seen a trend over the last 5 years that I've been really online. And it wasn't so surprising to me to see how much people hate Jews. Now, it's frightening, not surprising. And it's kind of like me telling the Jewish community, wake up. I've been saying for years that we're on our own, which sounds very harsh. But don't expect other people to defend you. Just like in the Holocaust, most of the world chose to stay silent and kind of let it happen. That taught me a lesson when I learned about the Holocaust. Never again means being about it. And October 7th was a really brutal, necessary wake-up call to not just Jews, but people around the world, that this is what we're up against.
Yeah. So I was not surprised, like starting 2 days later when all the protests started. Like I knew Israel had about 5 minutes to do anything and then everybody would kind of turn on them. But how do you gauge like how much hatred there actually is? Because like from an American perspective, I think most Americans love Jews and love Israel and everything else. It's this loud psycho minority. And then a lot of people that are just afraid of speaking up and they have their own reasons why. So how do you kind of gauge like those are the haters, those are the bad people versus just the person that's just kind of quiet. And then I'm not excusing that, but.
Right. If you look at the small minority who's the loudest group, like you just said, they're not just anti-Israel, they're also anti-American values, which questions me. And it's so not, I've been painted as a racist for saying it, but then if you hate America so much and you hate coexistence, then why are you here in the one country that's a safe haven for coexistence? Why are you bringing your nasty radicalization to this country that doesn't believe in it? There are many countries who are radicalized. And if that's what you believe in, then go to those countries. But you're here ripping down American flags, setting Israel flags on fire, and advocating for, globalize the intifada. So basically calling for terrorism, and it's being accepted. Like, I live in New York. These protests are being so tolerated, screaming outside of Sloan Kettering Cancer Hospital at cancer patients because the owner accepted money from a Zionist. It's all being tolerated. So of course they'll go as far as they can. And why not? They're not facing any consequences for it. But
so what do you think that the person that's not that person, but that is just the average person, what should they be doing, do you think?
I think the best thing to do is, as an average person, we need to be putting more pressure on the authorities to do their job. So New York in general has a serious police problem in which a lot of the crime, I don't want to say is encouraged, but they're not giving them any reason to not commit it again. So I'll give you a good example.
I'll say it's encouraged. You don't have to say it's encouraged.
It's incentivized. The 3 migrants, illegal immigrants who have found their 4-star hotel safe haven thanks to Mayor Adams and their debit cards in Manhattan, after they were arrested for beating up police officers, fact check this, but I'm pretty confident one of the 3 ended up robbing a Macy's a week later.
Oh, yeah. We covered it on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, first of all, why was he released so soon? And then clearly he didn't take away any lessons from jail because he went on to rob a Macy's. And guess what? I think he's on the run now. So this is what we're dealing with. And I don't feel like there's enough concern. Now, as an average person like myself and yourself who are not terrorists, that scares me because I still live there. And I feel like if I had more confidence that the policemen were doing what they're supposed to do and arrest people and not release them 24 hours later, I'd feel safer and Manhattan would be a safer place. But of course, they're being instructed, if they're not stealing over $1,000 of merch, let them go. So can I do that? Can I go rob a place? And if it's on $1,000, I'll get out of jail in 2 days. But I don't think that'll roll with me.
Wait, you pay for your toothpaste at CVS?
Yeah,
I just go in and I take whatever I want, all the gel, all the toothpaste. But I ask this to almost every guest one way or another. I mean, what do you think rock bottom looks like? Whether it's the people that are just stealing the stuff out of Best Buy and the drugstore, or it's the people that are closing the bridges in the name of Hamas.
What does rock bottom look like? I don't want to jinx it. I don't see how we can get worse. I mean, I don't know how I'm sure the viewers believe in God, but just in general, every decline of society, both religiously and scientifically, kind of look like this. Exactly what we're witnessing now. I'm not super religious, but I'm definitely spiritual. And if you open a book like the Bible, this is the end of times we're living in. And it sounds silly, but if you read it, it's everything that's perceived to be wrong will be perceived as right. That's already a thing, One thing that really just drives me insane, I was talking about it too off cameras, men being accepted in women's sports, completely embarrassing women, humiliating them, injuring them as being not just tolerated, but embraced and glorified. And this is where we're at. So I'd say this is rock bottom. I mean, I don't doubt we can get worse because every day
I hate to tell you, it's not
something
rock
is getting worse.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're far from it. I feel like we're getting to a very close point of what rock bottom is.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop screaming, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.